let's go the other way. There we go. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank Les Newman for inviting me here. Les has been instrumental in helping RE3, after 12 years of research, make its way to the U.S. Relatively successfully, and to put together a game plan that certainly makes sense to us. I'd also like to thank John Lonzak. John, you're the man. Thanks so much for helping us organize our thoughts. We had 80 to 100 pages of information that we were giving to various venture capital groups and private investors, which is, as you all know, way too much. Even when I'm an investor, I'm a financial securities professional, I have various licenses, SEC licenses. When someone says to me, we'd like to do this or that, and they want to hand me a package, I really don't want to get 80 or 90 pages. It's not that I'm not interested. I just don't have time to read that. And these gentlemen helped us boil this down to a point where I could make well, we've timed this so I can do it in 10 minutes. I'm not going to do it in 10 minutes right now. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't catch much of it because of me, not because of you. But also because there is a little bit more time, I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed and get into a little bit more detail than I probably will do when we get to our presentation in New York City on the 18th. I'd also like to thank Ramsey McPhillips. He's not here. Ramsey is one of our #1 guys in terms of having a terrific, probably the most advanced view of the landscape of MSW, the waste streams in the United States and globally, the technologies that are available. He and a gentleman named Jim Lackey, they're both from Oregon. I searched the United States to find people like this, and these two people I selected to work with RE3 in getting to the next stage of development, which is pretty close to the final stage of development. And I'd like to thank Peter Gronendal sitting here in the audience, because if it wasn't for Pete, I wouldn't have met any of these people. So thanks very much, Pete. Really appreciate it. Pete and I have known each other, and we've been good friends for, I don't know, almost 15 years. Goes back quite a while. Can't say that about a lot of people these days. I'd like to thank iCANny, which is a great name for that organization. iClean, another great name. The College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, which I had the privilege of touring, and my son had the privilege of touring. He's very much involved in physics and things like that. And he looked at the place, and he said, he's a freshman in college, and he said, Dad, would you do me a favor? Just let me go to one more year of regular school, regular college, before I have to put the white coat on. And so I said, no problem. And I'd like to thank the president of RE3. It's a very difficult time of the year for him. He's one of the primary contractors for the Archdiocese of New York. I've been doing this for many, many years. One of the finest contractors in the country, involved from the very beginning with RE3, put well over $5 million into RE3. So far, the individuals who own RE3 have put over $12 million into the company over the last 10 years, and brought it through multiple stages where we're really at the final stage of kickoff, so to speak. Even though we've made improvements along the way, we plan on making more improvements as time goes on. We're at a stage now where I think we're light years ahead of any other company that's doing anything like or similar to what we're doing. And hopefully that'll be apparent during this presentation. And also to people who are involved in the investment community, it'll become apparent to them, I think, if they're in the know about this industry, what we're doing and how it is on the cutting edge. One of the things that inspired me to bring in our Oregon, our West Coast group, was I met with the DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation. They made it very clear to me that even though we were converting garbage, MSW, municipal solid waste, anybody who's not familiar with that, MSW I'm going to be using quite frequently. They said, look, we love what you have. It's probably the best type system we've seen in this environment, but we don't want any burning, because our plan at that time was to take what we produce, which is cellulosic fiber, when we convert garbage, not using any fire or burning or whatever. We use steam. We use something that was created in the end of the last, well, I guess, I don't know, century, the end of the 1700s, beginning of the 1800s. Steam was part of the Industrial Revolution. So we use steam, but we use a particular type of steam. It is our intellectual property. It has a lot to do with the way we do things that nobody else has been able to do. It's related directly to our computer system and our software, our IP, intellectual property, which nobody has been able to duplicate. We protect it primarily by having a self-destruct mechanism in it. It cannot be opened up. If it's opened up, it doesn't work. So we've gone that route rather than the patent route. We've spoke with many law firms, because if we hadn't done that, there'd probably be 20 of these plants already open in China right now. No offense to China if there's anybody watching from China, which I doubt. But we have had conversations with people from China and Hong Kong, especially, being an island. Brendan Hughes, the president, has had a great vision. He stuck with it all these years, and he gave me a mission. He said, this is about a year ago, he said, I don't want you to stop. Do whatever it takes. Talk with whoever you have to speak with to get the point across until you can find people who get it. And bring those people in, and let's make a deal. We're looking to raise about $10 million for the marketing of this company. We already have all the product. We have all the research done. KPMG was our lead researcher and accounting firm and assistant in the beginning when we were in Europe, which is much stricter than the United States. And we put up our first pilot plant in Europe, which was very successful, and have all the documentation for that, which has been documented by KPMG and Babcock and a number of other scientific laboratories, et cetera. So now let me go on, after taking a few extra minutes, which I won't get in my next presentation, to talk a little bit about what you're going to see here. And if I can get reasonably good control of this, we can do it. Oh, I can. Okay, we can do it efficiently. Let's talk about the problem that's coming up, or that actually exists. The World Bank has done a study, as you can see up here, and it's projecting by 2025 that there's going to be 375 billion tons of MSW annually. Now, we think it's more than that, mainly because we don't know if the numbers from India or China are reliable, or if they've even been included in this study. So you somewhere between 375 and 500 or 600 billion tons of MSW is going to be created. Someone's got to get rid of this. Now, when we met with the DEC, they said, we love your system except for one thing. We don't want any burning. No burning. We don't want cogeneration plants. We don't want plants that just burn garbage. We don't want gasification plants. We want a system where, from cradle to grave, we're recycling everything, resourcing everything, and recovering everything. And that actually is what RE3 stands for. And we had created RE3 and the name prior to me meeting with it, way before the DEC. I met with them about a year and a half ago. Resource, recycling, and recovery is what RE3 stands for. Now, to take a quick look at what we've got here, you see MSW at the top, then you see RE3, because the MSW comes into RE3, it's trucked into an RE3 plant, which is a very small footprint. We're between 50 and 60,000 square feet. Here's what we create. You look at those lines coming down. Recyclables, high-quality recyclables. They've been sanitized, delabeled, you name it. They're just ready to go. Compost, green fuel, insulation, if our product, which is cellulosic fiber, someone chooses to use it for insulation, can be used for that. And AD feedstock, which is anaerobic digestion, which is what New York State and most of the world wants. They want anaerobic digestion. Compost was a great idea, is a good idea, except for one problem. When compost was done on a mass scale, on a larger scale, and then the compost itself was tested, it was found that the compost had some problems, serious problems. Toxic metals, heavy metals. Because in the garbage we receive, in that MSW up the top there are copious amounts of toxic metals. Now, copious amounts, they may be measured in parts per million, but they're toxic, and when you ended up with all this compost, which is wonderful, it's the best way to do things, except for one thing, you don't get rid of the toxic metals or the other toxicities. We do this. We don't do it by composting. I'll explain how we do this. RE3 has the greenest solution to the growing MSW problems and expenses. We convert MSW from an expensive burden to a valuable commodity, and we do it using steam. We don't use heat, we don't use fire, none of that. RE3 is more than a logistical and cost reduction solution MSW. It is also a profit center. RE3 is a revolutionary, simple, unique, and lucrative MSW system that produces a pure organic cellulosic fiber. We convert MSW. We don't burn it, we convert it. And it's our own intellectual process that does this. We create a feedstock that is used for anaerobic digestion. It accelerates the anaerobic digestion problem or situation. Generally speaking, anaerobic digestion takes a long time, not with cellulosic fiber. We're able to produce massive amounts of CH4, which is natural gas. At the end of our cycle, we end up with a compost. I'll explain that. And we remove the heavy metals, and then we're able to sell that. Our green fuel is the organic cellulosic fiber. There are some entities that would like to burn that. For instance, in Haiti, they're now burning their forests to eat, to cook. They'd prefer to have our pellets or our briquettes, and we're very flexible. We can produce both. We can produce energy in the form of CH4 gas, or we can produce the fiber, the pellets. And so we have a lot of flexibility. We're the only company that really has that. And it also can be used as architectural insulation. Our system is based on autoclaves. You can see one here. This is a 60-ton autoclave controlled by our proprietary software. Unique. Our software, there is nowhere in the planet that you will find our software. It is probably impossible to duplicate, although it will be somewhere over the next 4 or 5 years. I'm sure there'll be some reverse engineering and someone will figure out how to do it. But the barrier to entry is years for other companies. We refined this over a decade of development work. It's scalable, modular, and expandable. The plant design, we can put 2 units, 4 units, 6 units, 8 units. We've talked with Hong Kong. They have 19,000 tons a day. We can handle 19,000 tons a day. If that's what is needed, that's what we can do. It's just a matter of how many of these units we put in and how much gas you're ready for, because we're going to produce a lot of gas and very quickly, and it's very high quality gas. So it needs very little cleaning, if any, and it's immediately available to be put into substations, and it can even be compacted if necessary and used locally. It's clean. We have negative air plants. Our product is carbon credit qualified, and we've done that in Europe. Reduces MSW volume by 80%, not the weight, but the volume. It captures non-recycled recyclables. Well, what does that mean? It simply means that even though we're recycling as much as we possibly can, and it's the law, it's not being done. Only about 50%, and the DEC will be the first to tell you this, only about 50% of recyclable products are being recycled. The rest of them are going into our waste stream. Well, that's not a problem for us. In fact, if it wasn't for the law in New York State, we just say, let us take it all, because we separate it, we recycle everything. There isn't anything that goes to waste. And we end up separating the heavy metals and the toxins, and a lot of them have resale value. And the ones that don't, we take care of them in the ways that are prescribed by law. We make money with tipping fees, with our feedstock, which is used to accelerate anaerobic digestion. We create massive amounts of methane, CH4, recycled materials. Our cellulosic fibers considered a green fuel. Garden markets in terms of our compost or our related products, building products, insulation, and others. RE3 plants versus current options. We're a fraction of the cost, a fraction of the time to build one of our units, and I'll show you a chart on that in a minute, a fraction of the footprint, and a fraction of operating expenses. And you can see quickly at the bottom line here, for the lucky municipality or organization that owns one of our plants or buys one of our plants, you can see the break-even point is year 3. These are very conservative numbers. And year 5, this lucky municipality is probably lowering the taxes in their community. Now, I don't know how many municipalities you know of right now that are in a position to lower their taxes. I don't know of any. And we have a current bid in with Sullivan County, or about to place a bid in with them, I should say. We've got a request for a bid. And they have a great treasurer, great legislature, but they will, in my estimation, not be in great shape, even though they have a AAA rating right now. I don't know how long that's going to last. A matter of a couple of years, 3 years, I don't know. They'll be the experts that tell you that. We will be the solution, hopefully, for them for that, because they will start making money, and this will offset many of their other expenses and probably balance their budget with a surplus just by taking their garbage and other garbage that's around, hopefully regionally, because the DEC has asked us to work with more counties than just one, which is why we have not jumped on Sullivan County, because the DEC said, we love this so much, could you do it in multiple counties? Could you do an analysis of multiple counties and tell us how many units we really need? Do we need 6 in 6 counties? Can we use 3 or 2 or 4? How many do we need? Or one with 4 units in it or 2 units in it? And these are the kinds of studies that we do before we come in and build a plant. Here you see some of our objectives. We're looking to sell and license about 33 plants over the next 5 years. We think the market is much greater than that, but we wanted to be very conservative. We're looking to raise about $10 million for operational licensing and engineering expenses. The revenue stream, profits from plant sales, and royalties. We get a slight royalty for everything that's made from every plant or that's produced. And also, we are an engineering company, so at least in the beginning, we'll be getting engineering fees for most likely for getting a plant off the ground. And eventually, as you can see, RE3 after year 5, that's a triple net number of $212 million. That's only on 33 units. We expect in 5 years to have over 50 units, perhaps 75 units built, highly profitable. The margins are terrific. And therefore, there may be some profits from RE3 owned plants. Right now, we only plan on selling our plants. Our target markets, to the left, you can read these if you like. Municipalities are my favorite. We're dealing with the military right now. Islands, cities, states, nations, think Hawaii, Hong Kong, anywhere where they can't get rid of their garbage. Hawaii's high-tech solution is putting their garbage on a barge and sending it to the mainland of the United States. We've talked with Disney World, perfect group to work with us. We're talking with them now. Hopefully those talks will go further. They need us. Primary targets, low-lying fruit, plenty of outdated equipment out there. Almost all of the organizations that are getting rid of garbage need to cut costs. There are many municipalities, companies without MSW systems. Our byproducts are very valuable. Our anaerobic digestion system is second to none and produces a tremendous amount of gas very quickly on a regular basis without being stopped 24/7, 365. We have backup systems, etc. Obviously, we have a source of our own energy, so we don't have to worry about blackouts and things like that. Targets in need of carbon credits, that's primarily in Europe, and new revenue sources. Every municipality I've spoken with, I've been all over the country, many parts of the world. Very few entities are benefiting in any way by their garbage. They're losing money, it's costing them a fortune, and they need sources of revenue. The people in the communities, I know in my community, I don't want to pay any more taxes. I don't know anybody here wants to volunteer to pay some more taxes like some of the wealthier people we've heard of recently, who I don't believe, who want to pay more taxes. But I think we ought to just put a box on our IRS forms that says, yes, I'd like to pay some more taxes, and let those people pay more taxes if they'd like to do that. With our system, there really will be no reason to do that. We produce enough money, enough profit for the municipalities and the governments so that they'll be able to balance their budgets relatively quickly. Our startup is very quick. The current market trends, as you all probably know, landfills are at capacity, they're being closed. Nobody here wants to live near a landfill. Nobody wants a landfill built in their backyard, and God forbid you have one. You'd surely like to get rid of one, just like they closed the one in Sullivan County. Waste management systems are aging, costs are rising, recyclables are entering the MSW stream system. What does that mean? That means just what I said before. People, even in my own home, and we're very conscientious. I worked on the Hudson River and helped clean that with Pete Seeger many years ago, built a ship. And no matter how hard you try, you can't, they're just, as much as we try in our house to recycle everything, someone throws a can in the garbage, someone throws a bottle in the garbage. As it turns out, about 40 to 50% of recyclables end up in the garbage stream. Well, we're the answer to that, because once it comes to us, it's fine with us. It comes into our system, we process it, we sterilize it, comes out the other side, we separate it. It's either sold or given away to companies that can use it for recycling purposes. The burning or gasification MSW is expensive. It's environmentally, it's terrible, and it's being banned. Eventually it will be banned. Even the ones that are being built right now, and there are few, unfortunately, that are being built right now, and people are wasting their money, and they'll find out sooner or later that that's what's happening. These things are, the gasification and burning, the reason that they're being banned is because they pollute, but the other reason is because they burn items, or they vaporize in terms of gasification items that you can just recycle. And the government, our federal and state governments, don't want to burn things that can be recycled, and for good reason. And there's an awful lot of people in the United States and the world that would prefer to take things we've already made and not have to destroy them and make them again. Those things that we have to, we have to. Other things we can recycle, let's recycle them. And if we can make money recycling them, let's make some money recycling. What's wrong with that? So then you have, there are very few, right now there are no profitable gasification plants. I think there's only one or two that are even open. State and federal mandates to reduce MSW volumes are in place and pending. Valuable waste is being thrown away. Municipalities have to lower their expenses, seek affordable solutions, find new revenues. Trash management procedures are in flux. The public is becoming aware. Landfill-based toxins and environmental damage, they're seeing it. It's becoming much more apparent. Now, some of the resistance existing waste management equipment is still being amortized, but that's coming to an end. The three big waste management companies do control the market, unfortunately. That's coming to an end. Their contracts are expiring. People do not want to renew landfills or expand landfills. Most of them are at capacity, and they're now even difficult to build and expensive to acquire. And the big three companies out there right now are beginning to seek new solutions and options, and we are one of them. This is an interesting chart. The top section of the chart, working down to RE3 in the center, shows the companies that are currently involved in some form of what we've already done. And they're maybe 5 to 7 years behind us. The companies underneath us, landfill gasification, burning cogeneration, these companies are companies that are dinosaurs. They will be disappearing pretty soon. But the main thing is, if you look across the green area, Tons per year for typical plant, 300,000 tons, and we can do more than that. It's 300,000 plus. Diversion rate. How much does not get to the landfill? 80% is diverted. That landfill under, where it says landfill under RE3, I'll just step over and point it out here. This is a mistake. That's zero. Landfills have zero diversion rate. All of their product is going into landfills. But you look across at the green line where RE3 is. We're able to fiber to energy, fiber to compost, fiber to green fuel, fiber to insulation, anaerobic digestion, CH4, we recover the recyclables, and then there are other profit centers and other services that we render that make us money and benefit society, benefit the planet, and whoever owns the systems. If you look at the jobs we produce, it's a job producer. These are sustainable, high-quality jobs. The footprint is small. The time to build is less than a year. We can be up and operating, and we can set up multiple units around the world. We have construction people. The owner of our company, should say the principal, Brendan Hughes, is in the construction business, and we have several other people in the construction business. There's only 9 people part of our company. Cost to build, $50 million. Can it go to $70 million? Yeah. But look at the other numbers. We're a fraction of what it costs to build. We can build them quickly at a fraction of the cost. We make money right away, and the profit factor is extremely high. This is just a sort of a summary. RE3 Group, we were founded in 2000. Our first facility was built in Limerick, Ireland. We're very familiar with much more strict requirements in terms of everything you can think of regarding this MSW, et cetera, the treatment, dealing with waste systems, because they're much more strict in Europe. It's based on the Wilson autoclave steam treatment process and his software, which is remarkable, and it is our IP, which is no one will have for years. We brought RE3 to the United States as a totally separate entity. We're not a wholly owned subsidiary. We're a separate entity in the United States. We incorporated anaerobic digestion in 2012, mainly because of what we found out in the United States. Nobody wants to burn anymore. That's a recent but very significant happening. Nobody wants to burn, period. So our anaerobic digestion system is light years ahead of anything else out there. We became a member of iCANny in 2012. This is a list of some of the people who were involved here. Again, thanks to Les Newman, John Lonzak, who are our primary advisors. I'll go to the summary here. 33 plants. We're looking to over the next 5 years, our net is about $230 million. That's a conservative net. We're looking for about $10 million in investment to build these plants. We're the least expensive, most lucrative, and green MSW process to date. We have the smallest footprint, quickest build MSW processing plant. We convert waste to energy. Essentially, we're a manufacturing plant that takes MSW and manufactures it and turns it into energy. And our raw product, we're paid to take in. Find another company that is in that situation. There isn't one that we know of. This is my final screen. That's my number. That's my personal cell phone number. Please feel free to call it. You can write it down. I have cards. I'll be happy to give it to you. If you don't feel like jotting it down now, you won't get a service. You may not get me, but I'll call you within 24 hours. I'll probably call you in an hour. That's my number, 914-844-9246. You get me. Now we have other numbers or whatever, but that's the number you want to call. The bottom section shows what a plant with 4 autoclaves are. Those are those on the left-hand side, and in the middle you can see the garbage coming in, goes into the autoclaves, and that's the rest of the process. This is not this does not take hundreds of acres. This is 50,000. This may be 65,000 square feet. And then on top, you can see just a schematic of how the garbage comes into the left. It actually doesn't go into a trough anymore. It's done on a flat surface. We've experimented with that, and we've got that down. It doesn't go up anymore. It goes straight on a conveyor belt into that tube there, which is the autoclave. From the autoclave, we process it into very quickly into, it's already in cellulosic fiber. Every hour and a half, 45 tons is done in each one of these. Every hour and a half, 45 tons of cellulosic fiber is created. And the rest of the tonnage is recyclables. And after this is done, we bring this into, if we're not going to pelletize it, if somebody doesn't want our pellets or they prefer to have the CH4, we combine this with human waste, with cake, which saves municipalities millions of dollars. Give you an example, and this is the end of my presentation here. Cellulosic, or I should say, Sullivan County is paying $100 a ton to have their human cake taken away. Well, we'll certainly do it for less, but if they own it, they don't have to pay anything or just trucking to move it from all their facilities, combine it with their cellulosic fiber, and create tremendous amounts of CH4. And that has multiple values. It can be used in two major ways. One, it can be put into substations that are located all over the United States, and you get credits for that. Or it can now be compressed and create off-the-grid situations for airports, hospitals, corporations, planned unit developments, et cetera, et cetera. That is the future of energy in America. That's the end of my presentation. I don't know if I have time for questions, but I see that our next guest may be coming up and available, so I will remain here for the next few hours, and if anyone would like to speak with me, I'd be happy to speak with them. And now I'd like to turn over to you, Les.
We've got time for about 2 questions, and then we'll need to move on. Anybody have a question? You got to step up to the microphone. A little different. I'm tired of running around with the microphone.
Hello.
Hi.
The question I have is, what kind of regulatory obstacles are you still finding in the United States and with local municipalities? For example, anything with the Clean Air Act, federal, or even regulations having to do with trucking all of that stuff into a particular plant. What kind of challenges are you facing?
Yeah. Our feedback initially, because we're about to make all of our applications for all those purposes, our feedback has been that we are the preferred organization when it comes to the EPA, the SEC. We don't burn. The trucking is another situation, but we have offered to convert the engines to gas engines for pollution purposes. However, in trucking, remember, a lot of people don't realize this, that most garbage is brought to a site, a transfer station, and then more trucks have to be taken in, and then the garbage is put back on trucks and brought to a landfill. We eliminate all of that, so that you're talking about less than 5% of what we take in goes to a landfill. We're talking about a 95% reduction or greater in landfills. We're going to get rid of landfills. That's our plan, to get rid of landfills. There's going to be another. We're still doing R&D to take care of those things. But the real answer is that since we haven't applied, I don't want to make any claims, but I can tell you that the DEC is thrilled with what we're doing. We're not doing a lot of the things that require a lot of those permits. We will be applying for all those permits, and my honest answer is that we are expecting, we are preparing for the worst. We have been told that we really will not get much resistance. In fact, the DEC told us if we were willing to work regionally, they would work with us to accelerate how quickly we get our permits, including the permits to move the cake from the municipalities to wherever we're going to do anaerobic digestion. They just love that idea because they don't want any burning.
We have time for one more question, and then we'll move on. Anybody? Good. Drew,
thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you very much, Les. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Good job.